Hi everyone, glory to Jesus Christ. This is one of those videos that I'm a little bit scared to post because I'm a little bit afraid of getting into fights with people. I really do not like fighting. Explaining is one thing, fighting is another. It's just, you know how we all have these issues where it's like the thorn in our side, to quote St. Paul. Well, this is my personal thorn, this issue. But I heard some magnificently interesting thoughts on it recently, so I thought, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet, I'm going to mention it, and maybe kind of sorta I'll turn the comments off. I don't know. I'll just see how I feel. All right. Buckle your Bibles. Get out to 1 Corinthians 11. This is where St. Paul is talking about the women and men in the Corinthian church. And he's saying, a woman who, let's see, this is verse 5, but a woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. For that is one and the same as if her head were to be shaved. If a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. And then a couple verses later, he says, this is 13 now. Judge among yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him, but if a woman has long hair, it is a glory for her? Etc., etc., etc. So basically the idea here is the women in the Corinthian church were told to cover their heads and the men were told not to cover their heads. Why? Why is that? Now, there are a lot of people, unfortunately, in my opinion, who are using this passage along with some other things that St. Paul wrote and St. Peter wrote to subjugate women, quite frankly. See, I told you this is going to be a contentious video. As a woman, myself, I think it's obvious that there are differences between men and women. I mean, look at us, right? But I think that in many cases what's happening is that there are people who are twisting passages like this to serve a hidden or not so hidden desire for control and power and domination. Now, there are a lot of people who disagree with me, and that's cool. This is an opinion video, so we can agree to disagree. Here's the interesting thing, though. Okay, so Corinth. The church in Corinth had manifold spiritual gifts. But they were in a very precarious position spiritually because they were also being really influenced by idolatry and paganism. To the point where a lot of these new Christians in Corinth were adopting the pagan customs as their own to such an extent that they were becoming not distinguishable really from the pagans. So that's why St. Paul, read 1 Corinthians if you have it. He's not entirely happy with them. He's admonishing them. He's like, guys, you got to get your act together because you're Christians, right? So you cannot be fraternizing with these pagans. Meaning, adopting their habits and their practices and their mode of worship into the new Christian church. It just wasn't good because it was going to bring in heresy and it was eventually going to lead to rampant idolatry. And as a matter of fact, it already was leading to idolatry. So, in Roman society, first century Roman society, now Corinth, of course, was not actually on the Italian boot. It was near Athens. But remember, that whole area of the world at that time was dominated by Rome. In Roman society, if you were a woman of childbearing years or older, you were married. There was no such thing as single and swinging. You were either married or you were a widow, or you were a child. Roman women did not wear wedding rings. Do you know what they did to signify to the world that they were married? Do you know what they did? They wore head coverings. Okay. So, if you had a woman, an adult woman in church, in this Corinthian church, who was there, you know, presumably with her husband, but was not wearing a head covering, that was essentially cuckolding the husband. That was saying, oh yeah, I know technically we're married, but hey, I'm still available on the side. So when he's talking about, St. Paul, he's talking about, let's see if I can find it. No, I can't find it, sorry. Darn it, Daria. I thought I had my verse all lined up. Whatever. Anyway, sorry about that. So that was cuckolding the man. That would be a shame for the man. Here he is in church and his wife's over there making googly eyes at whoever else over there. No bueno, right? Now, St. Paul is specifically talking about a woman prophesying or you know, praying in public with her head uncovered. Not only because of what I just said, but also because the only other group of women who didn't wear these things were kids. And if you're a child, you're probably not ready to prophesy yet. You're probably still doing more learning than you are doing teaching. So the idea was that if you were old enough and mature enough to be having a leadership role in the temple, you weren't supposed to be doing things that would scandalize people. Now, the men, because, you know, St. Paul turns right around and he says, okay, well, men, you need to not have your head covered. When you're praying or prophesying in the church, do not cover your head. Well, what's that all about? Guess what? In pagan worship, in that part of the world at the time, men who were praying or teaching or prophesying would take a fold of their togas. You know, they wore those like sheets. They would take a loose fold of the toga and flip it up over their head like a hood. So St. Paul is saying, look guys, gentlemen, don't do that. You're praying to God, not these pagan pseudo-deities. Don't look like a pagan. Don't do that. Don't cover your head, because then you're going to scandalize people. People are going to think that you are either a pagan or that you're a pagan sympathizer, or you're some kind of syncretist where you kind of want, you know, Christianity and paganism to meld together into one big hot steaming mess. So leave your head uncovered so then people know. That is what sets you apart from the pagans. Isn't that interesting? So I think that it takes a certain amount of courage to say, as convenient as it might be to read Paul's writings on men and women and to kind of insist on interpreting them in a way that conforms to my desire for dominance and power and control. Maybe there's another way too. Maybe. Now, ultimately, what everyone does is their own business. I'm just saying I thought this was interesting. That's all. So, I will still like you even if you disagree with me. So anyway, I've got more stuff coming out today, but this is the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please pray for me. I will pray for you. I will pray extra super hard for you. If you will please hit the like button, subscribe, share, thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. So God bless you. Keep you safe. Bye-bye.